everyone, Tori the Crafty Girl here, and today is another fun project. It is a great introduction into these warmer months that we're finally getting into. It's been winter forever, it's felt like here in Spokane, Washington. But if you are brand new to the channel, hello and welcome. As I said, I'm Tori. I do a lot of crafting, and with my neurodivergent brain, I kind of hyper-focus on a project and I learn every single in and out and tip and trick you can possibly find, and I pass that information onto all of you. Right now, we're really focusing on those summer crafts. In today's video, it is going to be specific to the circular knitting machine. Now, if you're brand new to circular knitting machines, I have a number of videos that can help you get up and running with, the basics. And today's video is actually going to be a little bit more of an advanced project. But wait, don't worry, don't be afraid. I'm going to walk you through how easy this advanced technique is. And here's a little spoiler. The advanced technique is advancing. No, that's not what it's called. Increasing is what it's called. So if you work with yarn at all, if you crochet or knit, you're probably familiar with the concept of increasing stitches, or decreasing, whether you're going, more stitches or less stitches. And it's very common when working with yarn. When you do this technique, you're able to get a lot of those shapes that are very complementary for clothing items. So that's what we're going to be doing today with this video. Now we're going to make this a very simple triangle halter top, but even though it's a simple top, you can actually use the techniques that I'm going to teach you and customize it as you see fit. But once you know the basics and once you really master this technique, you will be able to, add additional pieces to it, make it longer, change kind of the color scheme if you wanted to do stripes or get really fancy and do some ribbing. There's a lot of different things you can do, but we're going to start with the base and you can build from there. Also, for this project today, you really need to have a strong understanding of panels. And I know I say that word and I saw you, you went, panels. No, I hate panels. Don't hate panels. Actually, I'm linking a video down below in the description. It is a very popular video that I created on how to master your panels. Again, it's not that difficult. There's just some tips and tricks that can really help you do better. And just if we're being totally honest, when I first started doing panels, I was horrible at it. So it is okay. It is okay to take your time and really, learn and get really comfortable with those different concepts before moving on to maybe a little bit more advanced techniques. So with that said, let me show you what we're going to be using today, and then we will dive in. Also, thank you so much for joining. If you appreciate these free tutorials and patterns that I create, it does take a lot of time and energy, and I love sharing them with all of you. But if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, you could click the little super thanks down below. Although I will tell you, I would probably spend the money on yarn. Let's just be honest. Or you could even subscribe to the channel, like it, share the video with others. All of these things are a great way to support your makers. And it really makes me feel good. So anyway, without further ado, let's dive in. By the way, do you like my earrings? Yep, ADHD means I have no moment's rest in this brain. Okay. Back to our regularly scheduled program. For our tutorial today, I will be using the Addy King size. This is a 46-pin circular knitting machine. You could also use the Centro 48 if you have that. If you use anything smaller, it may be a little bit more challenging. However, again, if you're making panels, you could just graph those panels together to get the size that you want. So if you only have the 22, or maybe you have the Central Mushroom House, that's okay too. You'll just make some additional panels. I'm also going to be using, I love Lion Brand yarn, by the way. Lion Brand makes really great yarn. I have so many different styles. This is from the ice cream line. I'm not actually using this color. I really love this color. This color combination is really amazing, but I'm going to be using this right here, and I already caked it. This is the Raspberry Ripple is the colorway, and it does work up so pretty. It creates these stripes and you don't have to do it manually, so that is a really great yarn to use, especially if you're doing panels, because when you do panels and you do a lot of color changes, it can cause so many headaches. In fact, let me show you. Yeah, here's the mess. Don't look at the mess. This is another project that is in the works. So this is a little summer top that I'm making as well that you will get a tutorial for. But on this project, you'll see that I did color changes all the way down on this panel, and it absolutely can cause a little bit of problems at the transition. So we're not gonna do that today. We're just gonna use this self striping yarn. And then you just need your standard tools like your darning needles, scissors, that kind of thing. Also, stay tuned. You'll see over here, I'm actually, a little preview here, working on a little worksheet that I will have in my Etsy shop that you'll be able to put in the measurements that you're looking for and kind of figure out or map out your project before you begin. So with that said, let's begin. The way we're going to set up our machine is we're actually going to leave this in the circular or tube setting right here. So we're going to leave it here on circular knitting. And yes, we're doing panels. However, the great news about using the circular knitting setting when you use panels is the counter. So we have this handy little counter right here on all of the Addies. I think it's on all, well, I have two Addies. I have the 22 and I have this one, the 46. And this counter is amazing. And if you leave it in the circular mode, what's going to happen is if you set up your panel to start to the right of the counter. So the counter is going to be right here where these three black pins are. And every time you go back and forth like this, it is going to count it as a row. And that is super awesome. So you don't have to keep track of it in any other way. If you are using a Centro 48 though, you can keep track of it. You can use something like this, just a handheld counter, and you can click every time you go back and forth. But I've just found this to be such a super easy way to do this. We're also going to be using waste yarn. So if you do not use waste yarn, I'm going to tell you, you should. I love waste yarn. I use it for almost every single project. It really just gives a nice cleaner finish. It helps prevent that rolling that we see. It also just makes everything a lot, like I said, cleaner. So I'm actually going to cast on to the pin right next to here. And since this is a demo, we're not going to use exact measurements because you can figure that out on your own. Well, I know that sounds a little cruel. Like I said, I have a bunch of measurements and I'm working on a worksheet that will help you so you don't have to figure out a ton of math when you're working on sizes. And let me know if you're actually interested in that, because I did a lot of math work yesterday to figure out you know, intervals of the increases and that kind of thing. But again, it's a lot of math. And it's a lot of math. That's all I'm going to say. So let's go ahead. We're going to make this. I'm going to do, let's do 70 rows, maybe 65, because I want this to be like a triangle halter, like bra top, essentially. That's what this one's going to be. Again, it's just for demo purposes. If it was for my own personal use, I would be, you know, doing a lot more coverage, but this is just to give you the basics. So we're going to cast on, and why don't we start with, let's see, my collarbone, if we do about 14, so let's just start with 14 pins. So I'm gonna actually, oh, we're doing waste yarn, so it's okay. So there's 1, 2, 3, nope, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, no, let's do 13. Okay, we're gonna start with 13 pins. Okay, again, I'm not gonna reset my counter just yet because I'm gonna wait until I get my yarn in there, but I did just cast on from the white pin here. We have our 3 black pins here, which is where the counter, what do you call it, trigger is located. And then we're gonna start with 13 pins. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to increase all of our rows as we continue until we get to the 43 pins, and then we will finish the item there, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's just do some rounds of waste yarn. Okay, let's see, and I want to go back. Okay, perfect. So this is going to be the start, and that's our waist yarn. So we are going to put that to the side. We are done with that. Now it's time to use our working yarn. So we are going to cast on, just cast it there. And again, for tips and tricks on working with panels, because I know they can be tricky, I do have that video linked down below. I was gonna say, I find it helpful. I still refer to my own videos because my brain. All right, so now we need to start our counter. So back over at 0. So we have the counter here at 0. So the way that we're gonna do this, we're gonna cast on with our working yarn. We're going to knit 1 row to the end. We're gonna come back and knit our 2nd row to the end. On the 3rd row, what we're gonna do is we're gonna knit all the way to the end, but then we're gonna add a pin. Then we're gonna repeat, we're gonna come all the way down and we're gonna add a pin. And then we're gonna go over 1, back 1. So we're just creating the intervals essentially every other row. Okay, so that's number 1. Make sure that's tucked down there. I need to just pull out some yarn so we have the right amount of tension. Okay, make sure that's down. Get these out of the way. Okay. All right, and then our counter also reminds us that we've just done 2 rows. So now we're ready for an increase round. So what we're gonna do is we're going to go back and we're gonna make sure that this goes under. So this is a common issue that I have been finding with this machine, is that on the ends, when you're working with panels, sometimes it doesn't get under this hook. So just make sure that it goes under the hook there. Okay, now we're ready to increase. So when I told you this is a really easy advanced technique, I'm not kidding. So all we're gonna do, okay, so this is our last pin. Make sure that that yarn is down there, and then we are going to go past that pin to the other pin, and then make sure that yarn falls under here, okay? And that's under there. So essentially we're picking up this next pin. Then we're gonna just go back, make sure that it gets caught under those first couple of pins. And we're gonna do the exact same thing, push that down on this side here. So we're gonna go past by 1, make sure that it goes under the bumper. And now we're gonna come back, make sure it goes under that hook. See, it wants to slide out, so we are going to put it under there. Now we'll do just a standard row with that, like that. Okay, now we're ready for our next increase. So we'll just continue the same process. Make sure that it's under. And then we are going to go over 1 more pin. Back under. One more pin. Back under. And then, like I said, we're going to continue to do this, and you'll see that we start to get this nice little increase here, and it's going to create that triangle shape. So it'll start up here and then it'll end up like this. You can do this again with this same technique. You can create really small pieces, you can create large pieces, you can do a ton of different things. And I really like this method. I prefer increasing to decreasing. I find it faster and easier, but depending on the project, you may have to do some decreases. So we're gonna continue. I'll meet you back here, but I'm gonna continue increasing every third row. We're gonna continue increasing until we get to those last few pins. All right, so now we got here, we're at row 70. So this was the length that I was gonna make it. You could tell this is gonna be up by the collarbone and then it's going to fan out. We may need a little bit more here, but it does stretch out. So I'm gonna go just a couple more rows. Actually, I'm gonna do just 2 more rows. And I'm gonna do just 1 more row. It's addicting. It really is addicting. I can't stop. All right, so here we are at 73 rows. You'll see, for the demo, I wasn't really paying attention. So there are some, and I think I pointed this out, there are some loose threads that are in here. Those I can go back and fix if I was going to be finishing this project, because when I go in to do my crochet finish, which I would do, then I could actually pick those up there. Okay, the last thing we're going to do now, and I'm not going to cut this yarn because I am going to reuse this. I'm just using this for demo purposes. Put that there, and we are going to use waste yarn to cast off. Okay, and our finished item is going to look like this. So you can see, you will want to, I would highly recommend steaming the yarn if it curls like this. So you could use a steamer, you can use your iron on steam setting. Don't burn your yarn though, so be mindful of that. But this, again, once it's steamed, it'll look a lot better. But this essentially is the shape. So we have this really cool triangle shape. And like I said, this is just to show you the art of the possible, what you can actually do with this. So in this case, I'm going to go steam this really fast and I'm going to put it on the mannequin just to give you a visualization of what that shape will actually look like. Okay, so I steamed the piece and I want to show you because I'm actually really inspired right now. This is what it looks like. Tilt this down a little. There we go. So after she's steamed, you can see definitely lays really flat, creates this really cool shape right here. But this is just a sample and you can do increases as frequently or infrequently as you want. So for me, I'm really inspired by this and I was going to take it apart and use the yarn, but what I think I might actually do is I really like how it goes in between. Obviously, you're gonna have to wear something underneath this, but what I'm thinking is maybe I'll make a tube with the knitting machine. I'll make a little tube and I'll just make a little tube top to wear underneath it, and it'll be a 2-piece set. Then I can finish off the back and do like a strap here and then do a strap here to tie here and tie here. In fact, I'll probably do a really long one and go from this side to this side and then from this side to this side and tie it once here, maybe with a bow. And then you'll have the little tube top underneath for that, you know, that modesty piece. So anyway, stay tuned. This might be coming to my Etsy shop. But anyway, if you liked this content, if you learned something about increasing, hopefully you did and enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future content. I never know what I'm going to put out. I am the worst at planning content because really with my brain, as I've mentioned, I really just dive into projects as soon as they come to my head, as soon as I'm inspired. So I never know when that's going to be. But thank you all for joining me today. Again, stay tuned. You can follow me over on Instagram to get some images of all of these great projects that I finished and where to find them. So that's it, everybody. Until next time, see ya!